The sky was calm, painted with soft orange and purple as the sun began to set. People walked home, children played, and the city moved as usual. But no one noticed a strange glow far above the clouds. At first, it was just a faint light dancing in the sky. Then it grew bigger, faster, and brighter. Jake, a young scientist working at the city observatory, was the first to notice it clearly. He rubbed his eyes, thinking it was a trick of the sun. But it wasn't. The object was moving against the wind, hovering silently, almost as if it was watching the city below. What is that?" Jake whispered to himself, his heart beating faster. From the distance, the glowing object grew larger and larger until it became clear. It was a ship, not any ordinary ship, but shape unlike anything human had built. Smooth silver and curved like liquid metal, it shimmered with colors that seemed impossible. As it hovered over the city, the air around it hummed softly like a low song. People on the street stopped. Cars slowed. The world seemed to hold its breath. And then the ship opened a hatch. A figure appeared. At first, it looked like a shadow, but soon it stepped into the golden light of the setting sun. She was small, young, and human-like, but not entirely. Her eyes were large and glowing softly. Her skin had a faint silver shimmer. And her movements, they were fluid, almost like she was dancing on air. Jake's mouth went dry. He felt a strange pull toward her, a feeling he could not explain. The crowd gathered, whispering in fear and awe. Nobody moved too close. Nobody wanted to make her angry. But the girl, she didn't look angry. She only looked curious. Then she did something impossible. She raised her hand slowly, and the world around her stopped. Birds froze mid-flight. Cars froze mid-motion. A child with an ice cream cone hung frozen, the ice cream hovering in the air. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. A cold chill ran down Jake's spine. He could still move, but everything else had stopped. He realized it. The alien girl had stopped time itself. People screamed silently. Panic froze in the air. Jake tried to speak, but only a faint sound escaped. He wanted to run, but somehow he felt rooted to the spot. It was like the girl's eyes had reached into his mind. Then she smiled. Not a cruel smile, not a happy smile, but a knowing smile. She looked around, studying the frozen humans, as if she was learning everything about them. And then, with a flick of her hand, time returned. Birds continued their flight. The child's ice cream fell, cars moved, and screams echoed across the city. Jake stumbled backward. People around him screamed, running in panic. But Jake couldn't stop looking at her. The girl didn't move from the spot near her ship. She just watched, silent and calm, like a statue that had suddenly come alive. "What do you want?" Jake called out. His voice trembled, but the girl only tilted her head. She spoke, but it wasn't in words humans could understand. A strange hum, soft and melodic, came from her lips. Jake felt it in his chest, vibrating like a heartbeat. Somehow, he understood. She wasn't here to destroy. She was trying to communicate. The city was in chaos. Sirens blared. Helicopters circled. But in the middle of all this, the alien girl moved again. She stepped forward slowly, her feet barely touching the ground. And then she stopped in front of a young boy who had frozen mid-step, a toy car in his hand. She reached out her hand and froze him again. Jake gasped. The boy was completely still, his eyes wide open. Nobody else could touch him. The alien girl looked at Jake then, her eyes glowing brighter. In that moment, he felt something deep inside, a warning, a challenge, and maybe a request. Suddenly, the girl stepped back. The ship's hatch closed behind her, and a pulse of energy rippled outward, sending waves of light across the city. People shielded their eyes. Buildings reflected the glow. And then, as suddenly as it had started, the ship vanished. The city was left in silence, but the memory of her remained. Jake looked at the frozen boy, then back at the empty sky. He knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. The alien girl had arrived. She had stopped time, and she had changed everything. Jake ran to his observatory, his mind racing. He needed to understand her, to know why she was here. because the feeling in his chest was clear. This was only the beginning. Something bigger was coming. Something that could turn the entire world upside down. And somewhere, deep in the sky, the alien girl watched. Silent, curious, waiting for the humans to show her what they were really made of. The city was still buzzing with panic, even though the alien ship had vanished. People whispered about the strange girl, the boy she had frozen, and the impossible light that had shone across the buildings. Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her glowing eyes and the way she had stopped time as if it was nothing. By morning, the government had arrived. Soldiers, scientists, and drones filled the streets. Everyone was curious, nervous, and scared. But Jake had one thought in his mind. He needed to see her again. He had to understand her powers. Late that afternoon, a new light appeared in the sky. People screamed and ran for cover. But Jake ran towards a hill overlooking the city. There she was. The alien girl hovered above the ground, her silver hair catching the sunlight. Her eyes glowed softly, and her gaze scanned the humans below. Jake took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Wait! I want to help," he shouted. Some soldiers aimed their guns, but he waved his hands. "I know you're not here to hurt us." The girl tilted her head. The soft hum returned, vibrating in the air. This time, Jake could feel in his mind, not just in his chest. Words formed, almost like a dream. "Do you understand?" He nodded. Somehow he understood. She wasn't speaking in words humans could hear. She was communicating directly, through thought. The soldiers were uneasy. "Stand back!" one shouted. But the girl didn't move aggressively. She only floated down, closer to ground, observing the humans carefully. Then she did something that made Jake freeze in fear. With a slow wave of her hand, one soldier stopped mid-step. His gun hung in the air. His eyes stared wide, but he could not move. Time had frozen again, just for him. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some screamed. Others fell to their knees, afraid to breathe. Jake realized she wasn't targeting humans randomly. She was testing them, measuring them. Jake stepped closer. "Please, we don't want to fight. We just want to know why you are here." His voice trembled. The alien girl looked at him, and for a moment, it felt like she was peering into his soul. The hum turned into soft musical notes, almost like a lullaby. Images flashed in Jake's mind. A planet in danger, stars burning, civilizations lost. And in the middle of it all, her ship alone in the darkness. Jake staggered back. "You've seen it all?" "Everything," he whispered. She nodded, slowly. And then, with a gesture, she released a frozen soldier. He fell to the ground, gasping, his gun clattering away. Jake watched closely. There was no anger in her actions, only observation. The humans tried to approach, to speak, to understand. But she floated backward, her eyes scanning the crowd. She touched the frozen boy from yesterday. His eyes blinked, and he fell into his mother's arms. Relief spread to the crowd, but Jake noticed something strange. Her eyes were sad, almost heavy. Jake stepped forward again. "What do you want from us?" The alien girl raised her hand, and suddenly a holographic map appeared in the air. Stars, planets, and strange shapes filled the space above the city. Jake's jaw dropped. The stars weren't random. They were aligned. And a red dot blinked on a distant planet. She showed Jake images of an approaching danger, something that could destroy planets, civilizations, and maybe even the Earth itself. He shivered. This is why you came?" he asked, voice barely audible. The alien girl nodded. Her soft hum turned into sharp pulses, like a heartbeat warning. Jake felt the message clearly. She had come to warn the humans, but also to see if they were ready. Were they strong enough? Could they fight? Could they survive? Suddenly, a government official shouted, "We can't trust her. She has powers we don't understand. We must contain her." Jake looked at the alien girl. Her eyes flashed. Time froze again, this time over the entire street. Everyone except Jake, and her was frozen. The officials, soldiers, and curious civilians hung in mid-motion. "This is," Jake whispered, awe and fear mixing. "She is testing us, testing me." The girl stepped closer. She floated above him, her silver hair swirling in the wind. Her eyes softened, and Jake understood that she wasn't here to hurt him. She wanted him to make a choice. Fear or trust. Finally, she released time. Everything moved again. Chaos erupted. People screamed. Soldiers aimed their weapons, trying to regain control. But Jake stood firm. He looked at her and nodded. "We trust you. We will listen." The alien girl seemed to smile. Not a full smile, but a gentle curve of her lips. She lifted her hand once more, and a soft glow spread across the city. It didn't stop time this time, but it filled the humans with a strange calm, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, they could survive whatever was coming. Jake knew one thing for certain. This was no ordinary encounter. The alien girl had arrived with a purpose, and the humans were about to step into a story far bigger than they had ever imagined. Above the city, the alien ship hovered silently, and somewhere in the stars, a distant threat waited, ready to test the courage and strength of humanity. The city was quiet now, but a strange tension lingered in the air. People whispered about the alien girl, about the boy she had frozen, and about the glowing ship that had hovered above them. Jake couldn't stop thinking about what he had seen. Her powers were unlike anything humans had ever encountered. He returned to the observatory, where a team of scientists had gathered. The room was filled with computers, blinking lights, and monitors showing images of the ship from yesterday. Everyone was excited, nervous, and afraid at the same time. "We need to understand her," Jake said, pacing. "If she can stop time, if she can freeze people, we have to know why and how. We can't just wait for disaster." Dr. Clara, a senior scientist, nodded. "We need to study her abilities scientifically. Carefully. We need data. Everything from her movements to the energy signatures of her ship." "But Jake," her voice faltered, "she's not just an alien. She's something beyond our science." Jake swallowed hard. He knew she was far beyond anything humanity had faced. But he also knew that if humans wanted to survive what was coming, they had to try. Outside, the alien girl floated above the city once more. Her silver hair glimmered in the sunlight, and her eyes scanned the streets with quiet curiosity. She wasn't attacking. She wasn't running. She was observing. Jake gathered a small team and approached her. Soldiers stayed behind, cautious, but Jake felt an unspoken trust growing between him and the girl. "We want to help," he called out. "We don't want to fight you. Please, let's understand." The alien girl tilted her head. A soft hum vibrated in the air, and once again, Jake felt the words form inside his mind. Observe, learn, choose. Jake looked at his team. They were hesitant, but he nodded. "Okay, we'll try." For hours, the scientists observed her. Cameras, sensors, and energy scanners captured every movement, every flicker of light around her. Jake watched carefully. He noticed how she could manipulate energy with the smallest gesture. She could freeze a person with a flick of her hand, move objects without touching them, and even alter small pockets of time around her. But the more they observed, the more Jake realized something important. She wasn't using her powers to harm. She was testing humanity, studying them like a scientist studies a new species. She wanted to see how humans would react. Would they fight? Would they flee? Or would they cooperate? Dr. Clara whispered to Jake. Her powers, they are almost limitless. If she wanted, she could control the entire city, maybe even the world. But she hasn't. She's curious, careful. Jake nodded, understanding. She's watching us, not to conquer, but to see if we're ready. As night fell, a strange glow surrounded her. The alien girl lifted her hand, and once again, time seemed to slow. Not completely stop, but slow. People moved like they were underwater, their steps heavy and deliberate. Jake could see the ripple of her power in the air, bending light, shifting shadows. He realized something chilling. If she could slow time, then she could also speed it up or rewind it. The possibilities were endless and terrifying. Suddenly, images flashed in Jake's mind. Visions of a distant star system, collapsing planets, and civilizations destroyed by forces beyond human understanding. And in the center of it all, the alien girl alone, standing against the chaos. Jake staggered back. "You've seen all this and you came here to warn us?" he asked, voice trembling. The hum in his mind pulsed like a heartbeat. The alien girl nodded slowly. Then she lifted her hand again, and this time she projected a vision directly into Jake's mind. He saw the earth changing, the cities, the oceans, the skies. The planet itself seemed alive, reacting to something unknown approaching. He gasped, We are not ready for this, but we have to try." The girl's eyes softened. Jake felt a strange connection, a silent understanding. She had chosen him as a link, a human who could understand her, who could help prepare the world. But there was a warning. If humanity failed, the consequences would be catastrophic. Dr. Clara looked at Jake and said, "She's giving us a chance, a choice, and we have to act wisely." Just then, the alien girl froze a passing car mid-motion. A family inside was safe, frozen in a moment of fear and surprise. Jake's heart pounded. This was not just a show of power, it was a test. Could humans stay calm under impossible pressure? Could they act wisely when faced with the unknown? Jake swallowed hard. We can't waste time. We need to prepare. We need to understand her and ourselves. The alien girl lowered her hand, and time returned to normal. People in the city moved again, oblivious to the slow-motion moments they had just experienced. Jake knew the world outside might not understand what had just happened, but he did, and he knew that humanity's true challenge was only beginning. Above the city, the alien ship hovered silently, watching, waiting. Jake looked up at her glowing eyes, feeling both fear and hope. She had given him a glimpse of her power, a warning of the coming threat, and a chance to rise. The humans were not ready yet, but with her guidance, maybe they could be. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the approaching danger grew closer, unaware that humanity had just been given a chance to fight back. The city was alive with nervous energy. People whispered about the alien girl, her powers, and the vision she had shown Jake. Scientists, military leaders, and civilians were all trying to understand what was happening, but the truth was simple. The world was facing something it could not yet comprehend. Jake stood at the observatory, staring at the holographic maps the alien girl had shown him. He could see the approaching danger, the red dot blinking in a distant star system. He knew it was only a matter of time before it reached Earth. But he also knew something else. The alien girl had come not just to warn, but to offer a choice. Outside, the girl hovered silently above the city. Her silver hair glowed faintly in the evening light, and her eyes scanned the humans below. She had not spoken in words, but her presence said more than any sentence could. Jake approached her. "We want to help," he said firmly. "Tell us what we must do." The alien girl tilted her head, and a familiar hum filled his mind. Trust. Choose. Act. Jake understood immediately. She was asking humans to trust her. She could easily dominate them, control their minds, even stop time forever. But she hadn't. She was giving them a choice, cooperate or reject her guidance. Inside the city, arguments erupted. Military leaders wanted to confine her, to capture her and study her as a weapon. Scientists argued that they should learn from her, but cautiously. Civilians are confused, scared, and curious. Everyone had an opinion, but none fully understood the stakes. Jake raised his voice. "We don't have time to argue. She's showing us what's coming. We can't fight blindly. We have to trust her. If we don't, we will fail." A senior officer stepped forward, frowning. "We can't take that risk. Who knows what she might do? She's already frozen people once. What's to say she won't do it again?" Jake met the officer's gaze. "She's not our enemy. She's trying to help us survive. You saw her powers. You saw what she's capable of. But she's not using them to destroy. She's giving us a chance." The officer hesitated, and the alien girl moved closer. She raised her hand slightly, and time slowed around the officer. His movements became heavy and awkward, as if the world itself resisted his fear. He looked at Jake and then at her, finally nodding. Slowly, time returned to normal. The humans understood the message. Fear would cost them everything. Courage and trust were their only hope. Jake turned to the alien girl. "We choose to trust you. Teach us. Show us how to prepare. We are ready to act." The hum in his mind turned into something warm, almost like a smile. The alien girl seemed to relax, her eyes softer than before. She gestured toward the observatory, and a holographic projection appeared. It showed energy patterns, star movements, and strategies that humans could use to defend themselves. For hours, Jake and scientists studied the projection. The alien girl guided them with gestures and telepathic signals. Every instruction, every movement, every plan was precise. They were learning not just about her powers, but about the universe itself, and the danger that loomed. But the choice was not without consequence. As the humans learned, a strange energy ripple passed through the city. Buildings shook lightly, and electronic devices flickered. It was a warning. The approaching threat was already near. The alien girl's power alone could not stop it. Humanity would have to act or fail. A sudden alarm blared from the government command center. Jake looked up at the alien girl. She understood the message before he even spoke. With a swift gesture, she froze a small group of approaching military vehicles, stopping their movement completely. She was controlling the battlefield, but not to attack, only to protect. Jake felt a surge of hope. The humans had made their choice. They trusted her, and she had chosen them. Together, they could stand against what was coming. As night fell, the alien girl hovered over the city, silent and watchful. Jake knew the coming days would be difficult. There would be fear, mistakes, and dangers they could not imagine. But the first choice had been made. Humanity had chosen courage, trust, and cooperation. And in that choice lay their only hope. Somewhere far away, in the cold darkness of space, the approaching threat continued its journey toward Earth. It had not yet sensed the alliance forming below, the humans working with the alien girl. When it arrived, it would face not only advanced technology and strategy, but also the human spirit. And that spirit, Jake realized, was stronger than anyone, alien or human, had expected. The sky was dark with clouds, swirling unnaturally, as if the Earth itself sensed the approaching danger. The humans and the alien girl had prepared as best as they could, but no one could predict the full scale of what was coming. Jake stood on a rooftop, looking at the horizon, where distant streaks of light moved fast across space. The alien girl hovered beside him, calm and focused. Her silver hair shimmered like liquid metal, and her glowing eyes scanned the skies. Jake could feel the tension radiating from her. She was preparing for the inevitable. Then it began. The ground trembled, buildings shook, and a strange, otherworldly wind swept through the city. Lights flickered, and electronic devices went haywire. From the clouds above, strange shadows emerged, ships unlike anything humans had ever seen, vast and menacing, moving as a single coordinated force. Jake's heart pounded. "It's here," he whispered. The alien girl raised her hand. The air seemed to slow, waves of energy rippling outward. Humans froze mid-step. Birds hung suspended in the sky, and even the wind seemed to hesitate. She was stretching her power across the city, trying to buy time. But the enemy was relentless. Their ships fired beams of energy that cut through streets and buildings. Chaos erupted. Cars crashed, glass shattered, and people screamed as they ran for cover. Jake watched in horror and awe as the alien girl moved like a guardian angel, her hands glowing, stopping beams midair, redirecting falling debris, and lifting humans out of harm's way. "This is unbelievable," Jake muttered, barely able to keep his voice steady. The city became a battlefield, but one unlike any human had known. Time bent and shifted in pockets where the alien girl moved. A soldier running toward a burning building suddenly slowed to a crawl, giving him a chance to rescue trapped civilians. Birds flew in patterns too fast for the eye to follow. Cars moved backward and forward as if replaying moments. Reality itself seemed fragile, bending under her control. Jake realized the full truth. This was not just a fight. This was a test of humanity's courage and adaptability. The alien girl was showing them how to survive, teaching them how to move in a world where normal rules no longer applied. From the enemy ships, strange drones descended, searching for humans. But every time they approached, the alien girl froze them, rewinding their movements and sending them crashing harmlessly back into the sky. Jake noticed her eyes flicker with intensity. Her power had limits. She could not hold the entire world in her control forever. Humans would have to act. Jake ran toward a group of stranded civilians, dodging debris. "Follow me. She's protecting us, but we need to move." They obeyed, moving through streets where time itself seemed unreliable. One moment, they were running, and the next, they were suspended in midair as the alien girl slowed the chaos around them. The humans were learning quickly, adapting to her powers, trusting her guidance, and finding courage they didn't know they had. But just as they thought they were safe, a massive shadow passed over the city. One of the enemy's ships broke through the slowed time field, its energy beam cutting toward the heart of the city. Jake froze, unsure what to do. The alien girl acted instantly. She reached out, her hands glowing with an intense light. Time stopped completely in her immediate area. The beam froze midair, smoke hanging like clouds around it. With a flick of her wrist, she redirected it upward, sending it harmlessly into the sky. Jake's mouth fell open. She saved us again. The city continued to tremble, but slowly, humans began to fight back. Soldiers, scientists, and ordinary civilians worked together under the alien girl's guidance. She moved among them like a silent commander, directing their actions without words. Humans adapted to her powers, learning to act where she could not reach. Jake noticed a group of engineers using alien energy patterns she had shown them to create shields. Children helped guide civilians through safe paths. Even the soldiers who had doubted her before now followed her silent instructions, their fear replaced by determination. The alien girl glanced at Jake. In that look, he understood everything. This was not just a battle against the enemy. This was humanity proving its worth. Their courage, their cooperation, and their ability to adapt were being tested in real time. As the night deepened, the city was transformed. Streets were scarred, buildings damaged, but humans were alive. They had survived the first wave, learned to trust each other, and worked with the alien girl to stand against an overwhelming enemy. Jake stood beside her, looking at the horizon where the enemy fleet lingered, regrouping. "We've done it for now," he said, breathless. The alien girl's eyes glowed softly. Time was returning to normal, but the memory of her power and the lessons she had taught remained. She had turned the world inside out, showing humans the chaos that had come, but also the courage they could find within themselves. Jake knew this was far from over. The enemy was still out there, waiting, planning. But for the first time, humans had hope, and the alien girl had chosen to trust them. Together, they could face whatever came next. And somewhere beyond the stars, the approaching threat continued its journey, unaware that Earth was no longer the helpless planet it once was. The city was a battlefield, but this time, humans were no longer just survivors. They were fighters. The alien girl had shown them her power, guided them through chaos, and now they were learning to stand on their own. Every human who once hesitated now moved with purpose. Jake ran through the streets, coordinating small teams of civilians and soldiers. "Move through the left side of the square. Use the debris for cover," he shouted, pointing at the map the alien girl had projected earlier. His voice carried authority, and people listened. The alien girl hovered nearby, her glowing eyes scanning the skies. She no longer needed to freeze time constantly. The humans had adapted, moving in ways that complemented her abilities. Her powers now served to enhance human actions, not replace them. Above, enemy drones descended in waves. Their beams cut through buildings and streets, but humans were ready. Engineers had modified equipment using the alien girl's guidance. Shields, energy traps, and temporary barriers. Civilians helped coordinate, guiding soldiers and rescuing trapped people. Every action mattered. Every choice counted. Jake noticed a young girl helping an injured soldier. She was small, no older than 12, but she carried him to safety with courage far beyond her years. Jake felt a surge of pride. This was what the alien girl had seen. Humans capable of bravery, hope, and cooperation. The alien girl extended her hand, sending pulses of energy that accelerated the humans' movements in critical areas. Soldiers could dodge attacks they couldn't normally react to. Engineers could assemble shields faster, and civilians could run through danger zones safely. But the enemy was relentless. One massive drone broke through the defenses, aiming directly at the city center. People screamed and scattered. Jake froze for a moment, unsure how to react. Then he saw the alien girl's eyes. A silent command passed through the air, through their minds. Act, fight, survive. Humans didn't hesitate. Soldiers fired. Civilians directed them. Engineers activated the energy traps, and Jake led a small squad intercept the drone. Using the alien girl's guidance, they combined technology and strategy in a way humans had never done before. The drone faltered. Energy shields blocked its beams, and human ingenuity caused it to crash into a building safely away from civilians. Jake cheered, and so did the team. For the first time, they felt victory, however small, was possible. The alien girl's gaze softened. She hovered above, observing, but she didn't intervene directly. This was human courage in action. She had prepared them, guided them, and now she was letting them shine. Suddenly, a larger threat appeared. A massive enemy ship descended from the clouds, its size dwarfing the city. It fired a pulse that created a shockwave across the streets. Buildings cracked, and panic threatened to return. Jake gritted his teeth. We've come this far. We can't give up now. The alien girl raised her hands, creating a protective field, but only over the humans actively fighting. This was a test. Humans would have to face danger directly. And they did. Civilians directed traffic and guided soldiers. Engineers repaired temporary barriers, and Jake coordinated attacks. Every person had a role, and every role mattered. As the enemy ship's beam moved closer, Jake realized something profound. The alien girl had not just saved them from the first wave. She had shown them what humanity was capable of when united. Fear and hesitation had been replaced by courage and action. The humans worked in harmony, striking at the enemy ship's weak points, using energy pulses, debris, and traps they had prepared. The alien girl guided them silently, her presence empowering but never overshadowing. Finally, after intense struggle, the massive ship faltered, sparks flying from its hull, and retreated into the clouds. Humans cheered. For the first time, they had faced overwhelming odds and won, not just with alien help, but with their own courage. Jake looked at the alien girl. We did it together. She tilted her head, and a soft hum resonated in Jake's mind, a sound of approval, pride, and trust. Humans had proven themselves capable. The alien girl had seen it all along, but now she knew. Humanity had a spirit that could survive even the greatest threats. The city was battered, buildings scarred, and streets damaged. But the people were alive, and more importantly, they were united. Fear had been replaced by determination. Panic had been replaced by action. Humanity had discovered its strength. And the alien girl had been a guide, the spark that revealed their potential. Jake felt hope like never before. The alien girl's eyes glowed softly as she hovered above the skyline. Somewhere beyond the stars, the ultimate threat was still moving closer. But Earth was no longer helpless. Humans had learned to fight, to think, and to trust not just in alien guidance, but in each other. And in that moment, Jake realized the truth. The human spirit was stronger than any weapon, faster than any technology, and braver than any fear. The alien girl had not just stopped time. She had awakened humanity. The sky above the city was quiet, but the air still carried tension. The humans had survived the first waves of the enemy attack, guided by the alien girl. Buildings were scarred. Streets were damaged and smoke lingered in the air, but the people were alive, and more importantly, they had discovered the strength within themselves. Jake stood on a rooftop, overlooking the city. The alien girl hovered beside him, her silver hair glimmering in the fading sunlight. For a moment, all was still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The enemy ships had retreated, but Jake knew it was only temporary. The larger threat, unseen, powerful, and relentless, was still moving closer to Earth. But humanity had changed. Fear had been replaced by courage. Hesitation had been replaced by action. Chaos had been replaced by cooperation. The alien girl extended her hand, and holographic projections appeared in the air. Maps, strategies, and energy flows showed the humans what they could do to prepare for the next wave. This was more than guidance. It was empowerment. She had given them the knowledge and tools to fight back, but it was up to humans to act. Jake turned to the gathered leaders, soldiers, and civilians. "We have a chance," he said, voice firm and steady. "A chance to protect our planet. But we must work together, trust each other, and use what we've learned. This is our fight, and we are ready." The alien girl's eyes glowed softly. For the first time, Jake felt a deep connection, not just to her, but to humanity as a whole. She had chosen to trust them, to guide them, and now it was up to humans to rise to the challenge. Suddenly, a pulse of light radiated from the alien girl, illuminating the city. Time seemed to slow slightly, as if she were offering one final demonstration of her power. Jake watched as she moved through the streets, lifting debris, guiding people, and reinforcing energy barriers. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, an alien grace intertwined with human determination. Then she turned her gaze toward Jake. In her mind, he heard the words clearly. "You have proven yourselves. You are ready." Jake nodded, swallowing hard. "We'll do our best," he whispered. The alien girl floated higher, her ship descending from the sky behind her. "This is goodbye for now," she communicated. Her voice, though unspoken, resonated in the minds of everyone present. She had completed her mission. Humanity had been tested, guided, and strengthened. As she ascended into the sky, a calm fell over the city. People emerged from their hiding places, looking at the destruction, the smoke, and ruins, but also at the humans who had survived. They had seen courage, teamwork, and hope in action. They had witnessed humanity at its finest. Jake looked up at the disappearing ship. "Thank you," he whispered. But she was already gone, leaving only a faint shimmer in the clouds. In the days that followed, humanity worked tirelessly to repair the city, to prepare for the next threat, and to learn from what had happened. Engineers studied the alien projections, scientists documented every detail, and civilians shared stories of courage and sacrifice. Jake stood among them, realizing that the alien girl had done more than teach them about power or danger. She had awakened something within humans, a spirit of potential, and a unity they had never known. But the calm was temporary. Deep in the darkness of space, the enemy fleet regrouped. They had sensed resistance, and they were preparing for a larger attack. Earth was no longer a passive planet. Humans had learned, adapted, and survived once. The alien girl had given them a chance, but the ultimate test was still to come. Jake felt a surge of determination. They had survived the impossible, but they would not stop there. Humans had discovered their courage, their intelligence, and their ability to rise against overwhelming odds. And with the lessons the alien girl had taught them, they would face the next challenge together. Somewhere beyond the stars, the alien girl watched silently, proud yet vigilant. She had left humanity stronger, but she knew the fight was far from over, and she would return if they needed her again. Jake looked at the night sky, stars twinkling like distant beacons. "We're ready," he said firmly. "Whatever comes, we're ready." The city stood battered but alive. Humanity had learned the true meaning of courage, teamwork, and hope. The alien girl had come, changed everything, and left a legacy that would guide humans for the battles ahead. And far beyond Earth, in the silent void of space, a threat waited, powerful, unstoppable, and unaware that the humans it sought to destroy had already begun to fight back. The story was far from over, but humanity was ready. The city had begun to recover. Buildings were repaired, streets cleared, and life slowly returned to normal. Yet, there was a new feeling in the air, a sense of vigilance, of preparation, and of hope. Humans had faced an impossible threat and survived. They had discovered courage, adaptability, and the power of unity. Jake walked through the streets, observing the people. Children laughed as they played among the repaired buildings. Soldiers trained in small squads, and engineers tested the alien technology left behind. It was a world that had been shaken, but it was stronger for it. The alien girl had vanished, leaving only traces of her power and knowledge. But her influence remained. Humans remembered the lessons she had taught. Trust in each other, courage in the face of the unknown, and the belief that they could overcome even the greatest odds. Jake paused atop a hill overlooking the city. He could still feel her presence in the air, soft but persistent, like a guiding force. In his mind, he heard a faint hum, the echo of her communication. Prepare, learn, adapt, It was a reminder that the threat had not ended. Far beyond the solar system, in the blackness of space, the enemy fleet was regrouping. Their power was immense and their intent clear, to conquer or destroy. Yet, they did not know that Earth was no longer the helpless planet it once was. Humans had fought, adapted, and survived. They had learned to act with strategy, courage, and cooperation. Jake clenched his fists. "We're ready," he said aloud. And he meant it. Across the city, scientists analyzed alien projections, soldiers trained in new tactics, and civilians shared their experiences, building a stronger community. It was no longer a world of fear. It was a world of preparedness and unity. Suddenly, in the night sky, a flicker of light appeared far above the horizon. It was faint, almost like a distant star, but it pulsed with an intensity that drew attention. Jake's heart raced. Was it the enemy returning, or something else? The alien girl's presence seemed to respond to the flicker. Though invisible to others, Jake could feel it. A connection, a subtle vibration in his chest that reminded him she was still watching, still guiding. She had prepared humanity not just for survival, but for the challenges ahead. Jake turned to the team gathered beside him. This is just the beginning. The universe is bigger and stranger than we imagined, and we've just taken the first step. Whatever comes next, we will face it together. The camera of his mind and the memories of the battles they had fought shifted like a montage of courage and struggle. Humans had adapted, learned, and evolved. They had worked with the alien girl to defy impossible odds. But the future promised even greater challenges. Above them, the stars twinkled, beautiful and indifferent. Somewhere out there, the enemy prepared. But Earth was no longer vulnerable. Humanity had awakened, empowered by their courage and inspired by the alien girl who had stopped time. Jake looked up at the night sky and whispered, "We will be ready next time." And in the distant void of space, the first signs of the approaching threat grew brighter. The enemy fleet moved closer, unaware that the humans it sought to conquer had already begun to fight back, not just with weapons or technology, but with spirit, courage, and unity. The alien girl's lessons remained. Humans were capable of adaptation, of bravery, and of hope. She had shown them the impossible, guided them through chaos, and left them ready for what was to come. The city below settled into a calm, but Jake and the others knew this was only temporary. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers, and the humans were no longer passive spectators. They had begun their journey as defenders of Earth. And somewhere in the stars, the alien girl floated silently, watching, waiting, and ready to return. The story was far from over, but humanity had awakened, and the next chapter promised even greater trials, unimaginable discoveries, and a fight that would test the very essence of courage. The universe had shifted. The alien girl had stopped time and changed everything. And now, humans were ready for the next great adventure. The calm after the battle had lasted only a few weeks. Humanity had rebuilt parts of the city, and the alien girl's lessons were still fresh in everyone's minds. Jake walked among the people, observing their progress. Civilians were training. Soldiers practiced strategies guided by alien knowledge, and scientists analyzed every piece of data the girl had left behind. But in the far reaches of space, a storm was brewing. The enemy fleet that had retreated was gathering strength. Unlike before, this threat was organized, immense, and relentless. The ships were larger, faster, and armed with weapons capable of destroying entire cities in moments. Jake watched the stars at night, feeling a chill in his chest. "They're coming back, stronger than before," he whispered. The alien girl had not returned, but her presence was still felt. Jake could sense it, faint but persistent, like a guiding light. She had trained humans to survive, to adapt, and to fight. But now, it was time for humanity to act independently. Suddenly, alerts blared across the city. Monitors showed the first signs of the approaching fleet. Streaks of dark light, moving in perfect formation. Panic threatened to resurface. But Jake stood firm. He knew what had to be done. "This is it," he said, rallying the leaders and soldiers. "We faced impossible odds before, and we survived. Now we prepare for what's coming. Everyone, follow the plan the alien girl showed us. Use what we've learned. Humanity will not fall. In the skies, the first enemy scouts entered Earth's atmosphere. Their ships moved fast, scanning, probing, and testing defenses. But humans were ready. Energy shields powered by alien technology lit up the horizon, and soldiers moved with precision, coordinating attacks and defenses in ways they had never imagined possible. Jake ran toward the command center, his mind racing. Engineers were adjusting the shields, scientists monitored energy flows, and civilians directed traffic and safety zones. Every human had a role. Every action mattered. The alien girl's influence was still present, but this time she did not intervene directly. Jake realized that she had trained them to survive, but now humans would have to fight on their own. Their courage, ingenuity, and unity would be the deciding factors. Suddenly, one massive enemy ship descended rapidly toward the city, its weapons charged, ready to unleash destruction. Humans froze for a moment, but Jake shouted, "Move! Use the shields! Stay together!" Soldiers fired energy weapons guided by alien patterns. Engineers activated traps that redirected the ship's attacks, and civilians guided safe paths through the chaos. Humans were no longer helpless. They adapted, countered, and fought back. The alien girl appeared in Jake's mind, a silent projection. She didn't stop the enemy. She didn't control time. Instead, she communicated one clear message: believe, adapt, fight. Jake's heart pounded. This was the ultimate test. The humans had survived waves of attacks, learned from an alien guide, and now faced a threat that could annihilate them completely. But he knew they could succeed. They had grown. They had courage. The enemy ship fired a massive beam toward the city center. Humans scattered, dodging debris and energy bursts. Jake coordinated a counterattack with precision. Soldiers fired energy pulses at the ship's weak points, while engineers used alien energy flows to create a shield barrier. For the first time, humans acted as one organism, unified in purpose and strategy. The beam was blocked, redirected, and neutralized. The massive enemy ship faltered, sparks flying from its hull, and retreated slightly. Jake cheered with his team. They had survived the first strike. But this was only the beginning. Above the city, the night sky was alive with energy pulses, lights, and shadows. Humans had shown the alien girl what she had already seen. Their spirit, courage, and determination were stronger than any weapon. They had adapted, learned, and evolved. Jake looked toward the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility. The enemy was still out there, waiting, strategizing, and preparing for a larger attack. But Earth was no longer helpless. Humans were awake, ready, and united. And somewhere far beyond the stars, the alien girl watched silently, proud of what humanity had become. She had trained them, guided them, and now she waited for the moment when they would need her again. Jake clenched his fists. They think we're weak. They think they can destroy us. But they don't know humanity yet. We're ready. We'll fight, and we'll survive. The first wave had been repelled. The humans had proven their courage, skill, and spirit. But the rising threat was relentless, and the true battle for Earth was just beginning. The horizon was ablaze with enemy lights. The alien fleet had returned in full force, larger, faster, and more terrifying than ever. The sky trembled as thousands of ships descended, their energy beams slicing through clouds, shaking the city below. Earth had survived the first encounters, but this was the final test. Jake stood at the city's edge, overlooking the chaos. Soldiers and civilians moved with a sense of urgency, following the strategies and guidance left by the alien girl. Engineers adjusted shields and energy barriers, while scouts relayed data about the approaching ships. The city was alive with human determination and hope. "This is it," Jake muttered. "Everything we've learned, everything we've trained for, comes down to now." The alien girl appeared beside him, her silver hair catching the glow of distant beams. She didn't fight directly this time. Her eyes glowed, scanning the battlefield, and she projected holographic patterns into Jake's mind. Energy flows, weak points in the enemy ships, and tactics humans could use. Her guidance was precise but silent. The humans would lead this battle. From the clouds, the enemy flagship descended, massive and overwhelming. Its beam charged, larger and more destructive than anything they'd seen before. Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Every human below looked to each other, relying on teamwork, courage, and intelligence. Focus! Jake shouted to the human fighters. Use the shields, target the weak points, protect civilians, and stay coordinated. We can stop them. The alien girl raised her hand slightly, creating localized fields that accelerated human reaction times. Soldiers dodged deadly beams. Engineers completed shields faster, and civilians moved through safe corridors as if guided by invisible hands. Humans were fighting as one organism, a unified force. Jake led a squad toward the central area, where the flagship's beam was aimed. Using energy traps and shield generators, they deflected the attack. Sparks flew, buildings shook, but no civilians were harmed. It was human ingenuity amplified by alien guidance, and it worked beautifully. The enemy ships fired relentlessly. Jake and his team coordinated attacks, moving strategically across the city. Every strike counted, every choice mattered. Humans had evolved. They were no longer passive or fearful. They adapted, overcame, and resisted. Suddenly, a group of enemy drones broke through the defenses near the city center. Civilians screamed, and soldiers rushed forward. Jake spotted a young engineer trapped under rubble. Without hesitation, he and his team moved, dodging enemy fire and lifting debris, saving the engineer. Small victories mattered, and each one strengthened human morale. The alien girl observed silently, her eyes glimmering with pride. Jake understood. She had not just come to save them. She had come to awaken them, to reveal the courage and spirit hidden within humanity. As the flagship's beam charged again, Jake realized the key. Humans had learned to fight not just with technology, but with strategy, courage, and unity. Soldiers targeted weak points, engineers amplified energy flows, and civilians evacuated strategically. The beam was blocked, redirected, and neutralized using combined human effort. Cheers rose across the city, but there was no time to celebrate. The enemy fleet regrouped, preparing for a final assault. Jake and the alien girl exchanged a silent look. They knew this was the ultimate battle, one that would decide the fate of Earth. Above them, the alien girl hovered silently, her power restrained. This was humanity's moment. They had adapted, learned, and grown. Now, they would prove their true strength. Jake clenched his fists, looking at the soldiers and civilians around him. They think we're weak. They think we're helpless. But they don't know humanity yet. We will fight. We will survive. And we will win. The sky erupted with energy beams, explosions, and the sound of engines. Humans and aliens had survived the first waves. But this final stand would test every lesson they had learned, every ounce of courage they possessed, and the very spirit of humanity. Somewhere beyond the stars, the alien girl watched, ready to intervene if absolutely necessary. But this was a human's battle to win. The universe had shifted. Earth was no longer defenseless. Humanity had awakened, and the final confrontation was about to begin.